If you've ever framed a photograph, you know that it's all about managing where the image sits inside the frame, how far from the edge, and so on. Well, text is the same way. And you can control where InDesign positions text inside of a frame using the Text Frame Options dialog box. Let me show you. I'm going to select this text frame in the upper right corner of the Roo Flyer file from the exercise folder, and I'm going to zoom in on it by pressing Command Spacebar and dragging, or Control Spacebar on Windows. We can see that this text is actually pressed right up against the edge of the text frame, which looks just really ugly. So we'd like to move that away from the edge of the frame. To do that, I open up the Text Frame Options dialog box by going to the Object menu and choosing Text Frame Options, or pressing Command B or Control B on Windows. The Inset Spacing section in the middle of this dialog box lets us control how much space there should be, sort of padding or margins, between the edge of the frame and the text. If you want to have different amounts of spacing on each of the four sides of this frame, then unlink this button. Just click on it to unlink it. But in this case, we want to have the same amount of space on all four sides. I'll place the cursor inside this top field and type 9 points, or P9. And when I hit Tab to jump to the next field, you'll see all of them change to 9 points, and the text is inset inside the frame. Unfortunately, when I did that, the amount of space inside the frame was too small to fit all the text, so it became overset. I'm going to click OK, double-click inside of here, and I'm simply going to delete some of that text in there to see the rest of it. Wouldn't it be great if all edits were as simple as that, if you could just go in there and delete the text? Well, in this case, now we have too little text, and we have a bunch of space at the bottom of this text frame. What are we going to do about that? Well, if we open the Text Frame Options dialog box again, with Command B or Control B on Windows, then we can change where that space is going to sit by changing the vertical justification. The vertical justification lets us say where the text should be. Right now, it's aligned to the top. So the top of this text is aligned with the inset at the top of the frame. If I change this to bottom, then you see that the bottom of the text snaps to the bottom inset and all the extra space goes to the top. We can also change a line to center. In that case, the text is all centered within the frame and the space is distributed at the top and the bottom. The fourth option is justify. With justify, the top line is pinned to the top of the frame, the bottom line is pinned to the bottom of the frame, and InDesign distributes the space between each of the lines in the story. Now, sometimes it adds too much space in between lines within a single paragraph, so you can tell it to add space between paragraphs instead of individual lines by changing the paragraph spacing limit. Bump this up to something large, like 2 inches. As soon as I hit Tab, it will convert that to picas, because that's what this document is set to. But the point is that it will now add up to 2 inches, or 12 picas, in between paragraphs, and it will not add the space in between lines within a paragraph. I'll click OK, and I'm going to use that vertical justification in one other frame in this document. This frame over here, which is on its side. I'll click inside of it because I have the Type tool selected. I could just as easily use the Selection tool. I'll press Command B or Control B, and I'm going to change the vertical justification here to center. Click OK, and you can see that now the text is centered inside that frame. Unfortunately, as soon as you have your text set just so inside the frame, your client or boss is going to come and tell you to edit it, right? Well, wouldn't it be cool if the text frame could actually get bigger or smaller as you change the amount of text in it? Well, that's what we're going to see next.